Hi, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones, and in this video I'm going to share with you why trust matters. You know, people are going to have confidence in you if you have certain qualities, certain characteristics. If you're someone who exudes the ideas that they have in their mind about someone who is trustworthy, who is a quality person, who is someone who they should look up to and believe in. And that's very important because trust does matter. I mean, let's face it, without trust, it's not going to be easy to persuade someone. If you're dealing with someone and you don't have the trust of them on your side, then it's really difficult to do anything. And I want to talk about the idea that I really wouldn't give someone that I don't trust the opportunity to convince me of anything. So think about, for me, I think about a politician. I think about a politician who I really don't trust for whatever reason. Think about it. When we see politicians on TV or, see them live, which is rare these days, usually we just see them on TV or read something about them. If I read something negative about them that really upsets me, maybe they take a strong stance against something that I'm in favor of, or they're in favor of something that I take a strong stance against, it's going to be really hard for them to bounce back from that. It's going to be really difficult for me to have them in my hearing. I mean, if I'm watching them and they're saying something, my hearing is geared toward thinking that they're this negative person. I don't like the word bad, but a little bit of this bad person. And so that's what I'm hearing. And we're programmed to be like that. So we get a bad taste in our mouth from the person, and then it's really difficult to hear anything other than that. What we're really hearing is just that badness, more of the same, because we're listening for things that reinforce that. Realize that others are going to come to you because you have good intentions and you have their best interest at heart. And so when I think about a person who didn't have my best interests at heart, like I think about politicians, for example, I can think about particular ones, and this is not about politics, so I'm not going to go into details, but I could think about and name specific examples of politicians who I felt didn't represent me. And what is a politician, after all? A representative, supposedly, someone who represents you to the people who make laws and make universal changes, at least in your immediate environment, your city, your state, your country. And so when I think about people who didn't have my best interest at heart, and you can think about the same right now, you realize that they don't have your trust because you feel they don't have your best interest at heart. So gaining the trust of others, now we're bringing back to you, something you can use from this. Gaining the trust of others is going to make everything you say believable. Now, I'm not saying this gives you a license to say whatever you want or to make things up, but I'm saying that people aren't on edge. They're not listening. Like I mentioned with the politician that I heard say something that I didn't really care for because it went against what I believed in. Well, everything else they said from that point forward seemed to me that it was something that really wasn't something that I felt had my best interests at heart. So I was always listening for what's going to back that up, that thesis that I've developed, that they don't have my best interest at heart. What's going to back that up? And say something else, and I say, aha, that's another bit of evidence that backs up the fact that they don't have my best interest at heart. That's not a fact at all. It's just an opinion I got. But you see how important it is when you gain the trust of others. You're going to have that ability to not be scrutinized like that. So realize that lack of trust slows everything down. When you don't trust someone, like a politician, for example, then you just don't have that. When you're trustworthy, it gives people the ability to feel comfortable sharing with you. And of course, this is going to lead to better opportunities for you. So you may be wondering, how can you do this? How can you win over people's trust? Well, the best way to do it is to be honest and to realize that just like a politician, sometimes you're going to polarize your audience. And that can actually be okay, because at least you're being true to yourself. And if there's one thing I respect, it's someone who's true to themselves. Even the politicians who I won't vote for because they don't represent me, at least I feel that they are true to themselves. So they've got that much going for them. Now, it's a completely different story if they were dishonest. It's one thing to say something that I don't agree with. Okay, well, at least they're being honest, even though I don't agree with that. It's another thing to lie. That's something that takes you completely out of it. So my point here is that you want to be true to yourself. You want to realize that you're going to polarize people. You don't want to change things just to be an every person, just to get along with everyone, because that doesn't work well. What does work well is you taking a strong stance, believing in yourself, sticking to what you believe in, and delivering that from the heart. So realize that you have to believe in yourself first. If you want to be a powerful persuader that everyone trusts and believes, then you have to trust and believe in yourself first. And that means finding something from your heart. Think about someone you respect now. Think about someone, maybe a politician even, who you actually respect, not someone you don't like, but think about someone you respect. It's probably, interestingly enough, equally true of those politicians you respect and the ones you don't respect, because the ones you don't respect, assuming they haven't lied, they probably represent something that you don't really care for, but at least they're true to themselves, hopefully. When we come into politics, I know it's a little wishy-washy, never quite know what's going on, but I'm just using this because it's an easy example to explain this. So think about a politician you do like now. Well, why do you like them? Probably because they're true to themselves. Probably because they have a life experience that changed them in some way, and they've become a crusader for that. You know, I remember when I started getting adamant about helping people stop smoking, my dad died of emphysema. He was 78 years old. He passed away, and I became a crusader for getting people to stop smoking. And I was in California at the time. I joined the American Lung Association. I was actually brought on as a board member in the Los Angeles chapter by the chapter president because I was so adamant about it. I had a way to help people stop smoking. That was with hypnosis. That's when I had my office in Beverly Hills. And this guy heard about me and realized how vigilant I was, what a crusader I had become for the stop smoking cause, that he brought me on the board of directors of their chapter. And I was honored about that. It's that kind of thing that we tend to look for in a politician or someone we look up to because we're looking for that power that they have. Where does that power come from? It doesn't come from words. Yes, they're speaking words, but that's not where the power comes from. The power comes from the truth behind those words. That's what drives them. That's what gets them juiced. That's what helps them become an evangelist, if you will, for their cause. And so when they become that way, then it's easy to get behind them, as long as the message is something that you believe in. So, clearly, I'm advising you, never change your message, find out what you believe in your heart, and start becoming a mouthpiece for that. Start becoming someone who talks about that regularly and powerfully. And you won't even have to worry about the power. Even if you're not what we would call a powerful speaker, you know, taking a strong stance in a physical way and delivering words like this, even if you don't speak like that, your words become powerful because you're speaking the truth. You're speaking your truth. So that gives you power. So find that within yourself. Being truthful to yourself and being honest with everyone else is the first step to gaining confidence. This is what makes you powerful. This is what makes you stand out from the rest. So, you have to know your passion. You have to know what drives you. You have to know what it is about you that really gets you going. And it's pretty easy to figure this out because when you're among a group of friends, what do you talk about? What do you share? What do you bring to the table? Do you talk about books you read? Do you talk about trips you took? Maybe your passion is travel. Maybe your passion is cooking. It doesn't have to be something that you think the rest of us would find acceptable. When I first got into hypnosis, I don't think my dad was very happy about that. I mean, he wanted me to major in business and minor in computers. And when I started college in 1985, computers was a minor. It wasn't as diversified as it is now, because now we have such a robust body of knowledge around computers. But back then it was just computers, and he thought computers were going to be big. He was quite right about that. But when I had a side interest in hypnosis, they don't teach hypnosis in mainstream education, so I had to get my undergraduate degree in psychology. So when I started going into hypnosis and at the same time studying in mainstream academia at the University of Florida, studying psychology, he wasn't really into that because he didn't think that it would provide a living for me. And a lot of hypnotherapists don't think it would either. But lo and behold, it does. Why is that? Because it's my passion. My passion is helping people, showing them the power of their subconscious mind, the ability they have to change themselves from within. So when you realize your potential, you become unstoppable. You become someone who creates something out of nothing. You become someone who continues to move forward. Also important along that path is to appreciate the mistakes that you make and to learn from them, and to always move forward despite being fearful. This continues to add to your confidence as well. And to give yourself compliments when you do something right. Give yourself a compliment and take breaks when things get rough. One time I was jogging. I was starting to jog. It was about 20 years ago, and I decided I'm going to start jogging because it's good for you. I don't so much anymore now because of my knees. I find other ways to exercise and get my cardio. But when I first started jogging, I was out on a public track, and I was jogging around, and some guy jogged up next to me, and he could see that I was a little tired. It's my first day on the track, and he said, the secret to this? When you get tired, you slow down, but you don't stop. And I took that to heart. That was 20 years ago, and I've applied it to so many things. When you get tired, you slow down, but you don't stop. So you allow yourself to slow down, and that allows you to have the energy you need to continue. Also, you need to meet your goals. You're going to have goals along the way. You need to make sure you meet them. And, very important, surround yourself with successful people. And you have to be the real deal. I don't want you to be someone you're not. You've got to be the real deal. So you have to be honest, you have to be the real deal, you have to surround yourself with successful people. These are the kinds of things that help you gain trust. Why? Because they allow you to be yourself. As common sense as it sounds, don't tell lies. They only get you in trouble. They only cause more challenges. Think about it. If you start telling lies, you've got to keep up with those lies. Tell the truth. People appreciate people who tell the truth. I'm reminded of Charlie Sheen, the actor, back when he had his challenges. You think about a person whose career was going great, had some challenges. He came clean about it. He came clean about a lot of things that were really shocking. In my opinion, they were really shocking, but he came clean about them. This allowed him to maintain the public trust. And when you have that, you have everything. So I encourage you to be a person of honesty, a person of integrity, and you also have to balance humility and confidence. When you show humility and give others an opportunity to feel that you value them, they're going to trust you a lot more. Think about it. Think about a celebrity that maybe you've seen on TV and they're being interviewed. When they say they made it and they became successful, what do they say about it quite often? They say it humbled them. It's very humbling for them to do this, very humbling for them to do that. Do you find that odd? It's a little interesting if you think about it. Why would they be humble? Why would they find success humbling? Isn't success exalting? Isn't it quite the opposite? But for them, it was a humbling experience. Why? Because they realize how dependent they are on the public trust, how dependent they are upon all these people who feed that, who buy their products, who see their movies, who buy their books, or whatever it is they do that supports them to become successful. That's humbling when they realize that. I want you to become a reliable person. Secondly, don't tell lies. But realize that you need to occasionally share with people the things that they need to hear, and that's going to be a little hurtful. So I want you also to be a person who's going to balance things out. I want you to balance things out the way you deliver things to people. Also, be open with people you want to get to know. I want you to be that type of person. I want you to be open with them. I want you to be a person who talks to people, because that's the way you really expand your horizons. Also, let go of gossip. Gossip doesn't serve any purpose, and eventually someone's going to say that you said something about someone, and that goes nowhere. So a little side bit of advice: avoid being a gossip. And avoid gossips. If someone wants to gossip to you, you don't want to hear that. Also, realize what your morals are. Find your morals inside you. Maybe they're religious morals. Maybe they're just a personal code you've put together, but stick to them. That's going to help you through a lot of things. Also, be loyal to others and yourself. With these ideas in mind, you're going to become a much more powerful person. I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones, hoping you have an outstanding day.